So this was the code. IMXY check, or this, like it's the same code. We can run any of this. So code we have already gone through. I will just run this code to show you the output, what we get here, and how to run it. Or it looks like I just missed it to save it back. Okay, let me. Okay, so I have deployed my changes now, and if I click on test, it should go fine. And yes, we have to configure a event also. I'll let you know the event also. Like when you're testing some event details or some inputs, like basically if I say in easy language, if some inputs we want to give to this lambda functions, then we can give the event name here. So I'll say test and save it, and just test it. It might fail for timeout error, yes. So right now I'll just fix it, and then I'll let you know some details. So okay, so you can see the results here, and function has successfully returned all the details. So you can see username listed is like, this is my first username, and this is like active days is 42 days. Okay, so my message is saying user keys are latest. Then my one of the like same user has actually two keys. That's why it says 7 days for second key, and then it says user keys are latest again. Then I have one more user, CLI user, that has 80 to 9 days of number of active days for the access keys, and then it says keys are expired and these keys needs to be rotated. So like that, all of my users which had the access keys status as active, at least for one access key, those have been listed here. Their number of active days have been listed here, and now we can see that whether they are expired or not, or like right now in the expired condition, we are simply printing the message that either keys are expired and needs to be rotated. We could have sent the email also. So sending email we will see in the SNS part. So that is a different topic. But for now, this is the logic, and this is fulfilling a real-time requirement. And you can look into the code. I'll just open the code also. And if you have any doubts in this code, you can let me know.
Here, like you have passed that event called test. So, what event we can pass there in real time?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Means in the event part, you pass the text, right? Test, like in testing purpose,
Yes.
you pass that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm
So
saying, hmm,
okay. So in real time, actually, events can be varied. Like it could be an event from S3, it could be an event from REST APIs, it could be an event from DynamoDBs. So some events we are going to see, like S3 event, I'm going to start next, and DynamoDB and Kinesis events we are going to see next. And we could also pass on the events as a manual event. So if I wanted to pass on some details to this Lambda, like some inputs, I wanted to pass, I could have passed it using the events also. So that we will see.
Means without events, we cannot start Lambda. So we cannot means run that
Yeah, so
Lambda.
yes, you can say like without at least a configured test event, whether you're using that or not, you have to configure event for Lambda function.
So that's Lambda handler function is taking event already input. So we have
Yes,
to pass
exactly.
that.
Yes, you have to pass
So
that.
it is mandatory for the Lambda handler function,
Yes, it
right?
is mandatory to be defined, but you might not be using it. So you can see event I'm not used anywhere.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That contest is like returning the things, right? That
So
means
you
it
can actually
cannot
see
be.
the details here. Let me just show it to you. So you can see it has some properties like function name, function version, its ARN, its memory limit, and its request ID. So some basic details like a programming language and those things. These details are actually passed on to the hardware of data centers which are running these functions. So if you wanted to print those things, you can print it like this, like lambda function ARN, some details about your function it has.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. So we can also print the event means name as well, right?
Yes,
Like
you can
contest
go ahead and
also.
print the event
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
Jalaj, this lambda function is very important for data engineers in real time.
You can say it, yes.
Okay.
See, I say, if you know AWS Redshift and Glue, you can land in the data engineering roles. But yeah, if you know uh, Lambdas, PySpark, Python very well, then it's obviously you are increasing your chances.
Okay. PySpark, okay. Data engineering, PySpark, fine. But lambda functions, I'm just
It's not tough. It's not tough. Don't worry. It's just the first thing that you have seen. It's not tough. It's easy to do. Okay, so I'll just pass on some bit. Okay, just let me know if you have any questions. If you still have some questions, I'll wait for you.
While running, you have defined some configuration. You just modified some configuration.
Yes, yes,
So,
that's what I'm going to tell you. That's what I'm going to tell you.
okay.
Okay, so now let's just move ahead from here.
One,
And still, yes,
uh,
please.
you told like this lambda function we are using to uh, communicate within AWS service. So from here also I can connect to the any database like RDS or Redshift from this lambda
Yes,
function
yes, you can
and
actually.
perform my operation.
Yes, you can actually.
Oh,
Okay, so now let's see some basic details. So here, this is your Lambda console. Okay. In code, you obviously know in the code tab you have codes. In test, obviously we have some. We can configure the events. Okay. So it is like this. If you want to pass on some inputs, you can pass in the form of key value pairs. I'll show you an example also of okay how it's actually how it can be actually used. Then it's a monitor tab. If you want to see the details in the CloudWatch logs, you can just click on this view CloudWatch logs and you can go and see the details there. And it has the log stream and all those details listed here. So if you click on the log stream, it will take you to directly to the CloudWatch logs. Nothing difference is there. It's just that full logs will be printed here. So all those details that we had seen in the Lambda's output window, we can see here also. Okay, so for this we need basic lambda execution permission. This is my CloudWatch logs. Here on this service also we can see the logs of Glue, logs of Redshift, Redshift does not provide logs here, but yeah, logs of Python, logs of Lambda functions, and logs of AWS Glue definitely we can see on the CloudWatch logs. Then in the matrices metrics, you can see some basic details about the Lambda functions, like how many time it has been invoked. So you can see 2 times it has been invoked. First time it failed, second time it got clear. So how much time it is taking, error count, how many time it failed. So you can see 1 time it has failed. Then some like those metrics you can see: throttles, iterator age, total concurrent executions, async invocations, async event receives. So all those event details you can, or some graphs you can see here. Okay. Then we have configuration. In configuration, we have more many options, but few of those we need to understand. General configurations are if you want to provide some description, you can say if you want to increase the memory that you Lambda function will have while at the execution. You can have this is like cache memory where this is going to execute. If thermal storage, that how much data it can store in the duration of the runtime, those you can configure here. The more you increase this, the more charges you will have to pay. Okay, remember that. And this 120 MB and 512 MB is kind of sufficient for us, and it's within that free tier limits. Then the settings that I changed was timeout. So Lambda functions by default timeout in the 3 seconds, and maximum is 15 minutes. I just increased my timings by 3 seconds, and then it was successfully ran in the 6 seconds limit. If you see like for your job execution, if it fails with a timeout error, you just have to come in the general configurations of this configuration tab and increase the timeout limit. Just click on edit and come down, and you can increase this here. Okay, and if you want to change the role of the Lambda function, you can change it from here. Okay, let's say if you created a new role and you want to use that role, you can change it from here. Then in the configuration we have triggers. So this I'm going to explain you just in a few seconds. Just leave this script. Permissions means which IAM role you're using. Okay, you can see its details, like which IAM role you're using and how much access do you have. So you can see in this R&D access management, you have IAM all resources access, because we have used IAM full access for this one. And then you can see AWS organizations. Why this is there, I don't know. I haven't applied this policy. Then we have CloudWatch logs. So you can see log. It can create log stream. It can create log group and put log event. So like what all permissions your Lambda functions have, on what resources it has, those things you can come and verify here. Then you can configure the destinations of Lambda functions. Like if you want to trigger something after this, like once this Lambda function is finished, you on success on topic, if you want to trigger SNS topic or SQS queue, or if you want to call one more Lambda function, you can just go ahead and send the events from here. So events again topic of discussion. We will talk about this in this class only. Okay, so it's like if you want to trigger a SNS topic is nothing but a email sending or message, like it's a simple notification service. So with this, you can send emails and messages and all those things. As cases you can use for storing the message, and it's a queuing service. Lambda function, if you want to trigger one more Lambda function, event bridge if you want to trigger. So those things you can do from here. Configure a destination of this Lambda function on failure, on success. Then again, if I come down, if you want to call this function from the websites, you can create the function URL. You will get the HTTPS URL, and then using that HTTPS URL, you can trigger this function from the websites. Then we have environment variables. So let's say you want to access some, or if you let's say you want to create some variables, okay, and you want to utilize those variables in your code, you can create here. You have to just click on edit, add environment variable, give the variable name and give the variable value. You can then later use these values in your code. So I'm going to show this also to you. Then I have tags. Okay, if you want to assign some tags to this Lambda function, then VPC is related to security engineering part. We do not know VPC right now. Basically, it's a virtual private cloud. If you want to run your function inside the VPCs, you can create a VPC and execute a function inside that. Then monitoring and operations tool, you have already seen those things. Logs and metrics are enabled. You can go ahead and disable these things also, just in case if you require. Concurrency means how many concurrent version of this Lambda function run. So let's say if I click run twice in continuous continued time, and then it's going to show me then it's going to throw me the error second time that my current Lambda function is currently running, and it cannot launch a second version if the concurrency is 1. If it is 10, then 10 parallel execution of this particular code can run. Okay. Then after this, we don't have any useful things. State machines is there, which is, you can say it's a kind of useful thing. So it's a flow design thing. Okay, so basically this state machines is now supported by AWS step function. So if you ever hear about the AWS step functions, you can just go in inside the step functions. And here you can actually design the workflow visually, like like my first Lambda function will run, and after that 2 function will run if it is successful. If one failed, then that will run. If one is successful, then parallel things will run, sequential will run. So those kind of workflow you can come and design here in the state machines, or you can say step functions. So okay, these things you can go ahead and try. Some project use this state machines, or some projectors just call or manage those scenarios from the code itself. So we are going to see the example of code itself thing, because designing workflow is easy things. We can just try it out from your end, and if you see some issues, you can let me know. But this is not a very important thing. Okay, it's a if you're too much curious about learning this, then you can go ahead and learn this. But you should know about this. Like if someone in the interview asks what is a step function or state machines, then you can say we can create flows of programs using the state machines. Okay, so coming back to our console, these are the few settings that we can make here. Okay, general configurations. Yes, please.
I'm saying that on the step function, we only configure the this lambda function, or means other things also we can call.
I think you can do. I am not sure about this. Let's go standard. I think it's lambda functions only. No, you have many things. Lambda functions, SNS, ECS. You have glue also, so you can create a complete flow. You can see EC2 machine, EC2 references, all those things. If you want to include, you can include.
Another thing is like, can we call a lambda function in the glue workflow, or it is not possible?
Lambda function from glue. I think we can. Yes, we should.
Okay, from glue also we can call lambda function.
Yes, yes. If you have proper permissions, you can definitely call.
Okay.
Okay, so yes, now we will learn about the this thing, events. So I have one lambda function with me. You can create as we have created the IAM expiry check. Okay, please simply click on create function, provide your lambda function name, choose Python 3.10 and choose the IAM role. For this one, I have used IAM role. You can see the details here. Inside the configuration permissions, click on this one. So we can see this IAM role has some policies attached to it. So those policies are again basic lambda execution, and this time instead of IAM access, this time I'm saying S3 full access. Why S3 full access? Because this person is also reading the files it is deleting the files, it is moving the files, also it is placing the files back onto the S3 bucket. That's why we need complete access to the S3 buckets. Okay, remember this. Just simply go on, click on create role, search for the basic Lambda execution role, search for the Amazon S3 full access role, and go ahead and create that role. Okay. And this time I'm not going to show you step by step, just try it from your end, because too much of a spoon feeding is also not good. So just go and try. If you face any challenges, just let me know on the WhatsApp. Okay, I'll help you out. But as you can see, we have S3 access and we have basic execution role. So that basic one is providing me CloudWatch access, and I'm also having S3 access. This will come by default when you assign a event configuration, the S3 object Lambda access. Now, if I go in the triggers detail, you can see I have one trigger enabled on this Lambda function, which is actually coming from S3 as a source, and it is coming from AWS Data Engineer 9 course. That means this is the bucket name. From this bucket, I'm getting this event details. Okay, so for this demo, let me just go ahead and delete this event. And yeah, and same thing if I go on the same bucket. Same thing, you can see it here in the properties. Now it won't be there because I have deleted that, but you can see event notifications. So see, there are two ways of configuring the event. Either you can configure the event from source to target, or you can go on the target and configure the source. Basically, we have to plug in this S3 and Lambda by either one way. So when I say what is target, so see, event will be generated by S3, okay, and that event is going to on Lambda. So Lambda is my target or S3 is my source. So let's see how we can configure the event from source to target first. Okay, both the things are actually same, nothing different. Just one thing you have to do. So if I just come down here inside the properties of my bucket, you have to click on the properties tab, not on the objects tab. Just come a bit down. Click on create event notification. You have to pass a event name. So event name, I can say trigger Lambda. Okay, any name is fine. Then prefix we have to provide. So as we have seen in the prefix we have seen. No, we haven't actually. Yes, actually we have seen the prefix while we were configuring the our lifecycle rules. So that time we have seen the prefix. So same way, I want to, let's say I just want to apply this event notifications only when some file is placed inside this input bucket. Okay, inside this input folder. Only in that case I want to trigger my Lambda function. If some file is placed outside of this folder, I don't want to trigger that event. In that case, I will go ahead and apply the prefix. But if you are looking to trigger the Lambda functions, whenever some file is placed inside the complete bucket, then you have to say, then you can simply skip this step, and by default it will take the complete bucket name. Okay, and same way here we have the option of suffix also. Let's say you just want to trigger Lambda functions only in the case of CSV files, then you have to say suffix as .csv. If it is a JPG file, you have to say .jpg. For Parquet file, you have to say .parquet. So folders and suffix you can provide here. So for this demo, let me just go ahead and configure a suffix also. So I'll say input. And no need to pass forward slash here. By default, it will take. Now you have to select the event types, like on what kind of event you would like to run this Lambda functions. Okay. So for me, I'm interested in put and copy event, but for this demo, I'm just going to select all these things. This means whenever a file is created, that means uploaded on my bucket, or whenever a file is copied on my bucket, my Lambda function is going to trigger by this event. OK, and then my Lambda function will start running. Then there are various kind of events, as you can see. Object removal, that means when a file is temporarily deleted, that means a delete marker is placed. If you remember, if we have versioning, files are not permanently deleted, they are just marked for the deletion. OK, and even if we delete a permanently file, we have two separate options we have. If we restore our objects, even we have events for those things. If we tag something, we have events for SCLs, we have the events. If we move our files from one storage to another storage, we have event for that also. We have event for replication also. So you can see for any action that we take on our data inside the S3 bucket, we have events. We can configure those and we can trigger some Lambda functions, or it could be SNS, or like it could be any destination. But for our case, it is a Lambda function. OK, so right now I have just configured three things. I have provided my event name. I have provided my prefix. Suffix I have skipped. I am saying I'm interested in the create events only. Then if I come down, I have to select my target. So target, we have three options from the S3. It can be SNS, SKS, or Lambda function. So obviously we are interested in the Lambda function. I can simply click on here, select my Lambda function, and I can click on save changes. Then this will be configured, and same detail you will be able to see on the Lambda functions inside the triggers tab also. OK, this is how I configure event from S3 buckets. OK, any questions here?
So basically, this event is specific to S3. The same way we can set up the event for the Lambda function for other services also.
Yes. So I'm not going to hit save here because this is going to be applied on Lambda function again. So I'm just going to wait here, and here I will come. And let's see how we can apply triggers on the Lambda function console. So I will simply say add trigger. This time we have to select the source because this time target is fixed, but this time source is not fixed. So I will set the source. You can see Alexa is there. You can configure Alexa to, pass on the events to your Lambda functions. You can say skill ID, you can configure, and those things you can do it. But for us, you can see a Kafka is there, API gateway, load balancer, IoT, CloudWatch logs. Many sources are there, but we are interested in this S3. So if we search for S3, we'll get that. Then we have to select the bucket here. Then event types we have to select. OK, so by default data selected the all object create events. If I just remove this, you can see all the same options that we had on the S3 or S3 console. Same options we have here. So I'm just going to select this one, but you can see I have all those options here. OK, I say all object create events. You can take multiple events if you want. OK, that is not like restricted. You can provide prefix here. So my prefix is input. Prefix you can provide. But one thing is a bit different on AWS Lambda console, that here it says recursive invocation warning. You have to acknowledge that. So what is this? So if I come back to this thing, let's say you are putting a file inside this input bucket and this Lambda function will trigger. But by mistake, if you have coded in your Lambda function, then it writes the file inside the same folder. Then what will happen? A recursive infinite loop will start. That means your Lambda function will receive the event from this input folder. It will start your function. It's going to finish and it's going to place the files back inside the same folder. But when it plays the file back inside the same folder, again the lambda function will receive the event of create event. Again the lambda will start. Again it will save the file in same folder. Again it will start running. So that will be an infinite operation. So this is the warning. It says I acknowledge that using the same bucket for both input and output is not recommended, and that is a confusion can cause recursive invocation. That means your input location of lambda function, your output location of lambda function should not be same. There should be a some different. If you are reading from this input folder, then you should be writing inside some output folder or some folder name different than input, or it could be a completely different bucket. Okay, so are you getting this thing? There should be a completely different location for inputs and outputs. Am I clear here? Because this is important. By mistake, if you start recursive invocation every 3 or 4 seconds, your lambda function is going to start. And if it runs for 24 hours, you can see huge bills. And this is the only way you can occur a huge bill on lambda functions, by invoking a recursive invocation. Just you have to make sure your input location and your output location is not same. Are we good here? Or if you have any questions?
Yeah, Jalaz. So within the bucket, we can create a two folders. One is for input and one is for output, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so now it is same. Like if you want, you can click for add here, or if you prefer, you can click save here. So both are actually the same things. If I just click save here, you can see at the same time. If I come back to my function again, if I cancel this, even if I cancel this, you can see trigger will be added here. If I just refresh this, you can see trigger is available here. Okay, so both are actually same thing. Now let's see what is happening inside our code. So I'm going to explain your code later, but for now, just test this. Okay, just I'm going to hit test here. So if you hit the test, it's going to fail because now we have configured the event. We should not run it manually. So how we should run it? We should come inside this bucket, inside this input path, and let's say I just take this demo CSV and I click on action. And if I move it, and move it means, see what I'm doing here, basically in the same location I'm just cutting and pasting that file. So that is going to generate a copy event for me. I'm just going to move it. It has been moved. Now if I come back to my lambda function, you won't see any things in the execution details. You will see those things in the CloudWatch logs. So there are two ways of going to CloudWatch logs. You can go inside the monitor, and you can go inside the view CloudWatch logs. And this is the event. You can see it has triggered on 5th of May 21:39. If I just open this link, you will see all those details here. Okay, so for easiness of reading, if I do it display and view in plain text, you can see this is my event details. So if you see inside the code, my first line inside the code is print event details 3 dots, then event I am printing. So I'm just going to take that event with me. from here to here. To easily read this event, you can go as the JSON events. Okay, remember events are always in JSON. So go on JSON lint. This is a website that will help you to format a JSON. Just paste it here. Click on validate JSON, and it's there. I will just take it on this one. This is my event, and if I make it more readable to you, I can make it replace single quotes by double quotes. Then you can see it's more visually appealing now. So this is the event that has been passed by S3 to Lambda function. Okay. Now here you can see this is nothing but a dictionary or a JSON format file. Okay. Here it passes the information that occurred at the time of file movement. You can see event version is 2.1. It occurred from the source as S3. Region in which the bucket was, it is AP South 1. You get the time at which time this event was occurred. Okay. Then we have event name. So you can see it's a copy event, some user identity, some IP address details, some other response things which are not very understood. Then we have details of your S3, like which bucket triggered this event. Okay, you can see it's a from Data Engineer 9 course. You can see object details also. What is the key of the file? What is the E tag of the file? What is the size of the file? What is the version of the file? So all those things you can see here. This is my event. You can see this is my input that I will receive from the S3. It will be passed automatically by S3 to Lambda when we have configured the event. Okay, using this dictionary, we can code our things. Any questions in this?
Suppose I have triggered some Lambda functions. So how I can map this Lambda function to the CloudWatch?
Come again?
How I can map the Lambda function run to the CloudWatch log?
Okay. So I mean, you said you can map the Lambda functions to CloudWatch then?
No. I mean, suppose in my suppose 10% are running the Lambda function. So just now you showed the log based on the time. Like this is the current date and time. So this is my log. So how we can come to know, like suppose I got some
Okay, so I got your question actually. I got your intentions actually. So first of all, it will be very stupidity if 10 persons work on the same Lambda functions. If they are working on the different Lambda functions, then you can go ahead in the CloudWatch logs. You can see the log group is named with your Lambda function here. Okay, if you come back to this log groups, you can see we have logs for recognition Lambda, we have logs for file identity Lambda, we have logs for, if you see in the Lambda functions, DynamoDB stream captures. For all those things, we have separate logs. So those are not mixed. Even the IAM key expire check logs are here. Okay, those logs are separate things. Now,
yeah.
Yes, please tell me.
Suppose this Lambda function I can run in 10 times parallel also. Now, I have done 10 runs. So if I have to find out like first Lambda function CloudWatch log, so how I can map this from the monitoring tab only?
Okay, that is based on time only. Like which one you have in first.
Hmm.
So if you go inside this logs, okay, back up. Yeah, if you go inside this log, you have to look on the timestamp here. There's nothing you can do about that thing.
Okay.
You have to guess it on timestamp only if you're running it parallel. But see, this thing does not struggle too much in the real time, because if we are running something parallel, one function only, we will do test of that. Okay, then only we will run parallel for 10 times in UAT or production, wherever. In dev, we won't run it parallel 10 times or 100 times until unless it has been tested. And you will see these logs. You will be interested in seeing these logs only in the case of testing. Once you have tested, once they are running fine, you no need to worry about these logs.
Hmm. Okay. One more question I have.
Mhm.
In edit configuration, we are defining some memory and timeout parameters. So, uh, memory is in we are
Yes.
assigning this memory to execute our lambda function, or this memory part I didn't understand.
Sorry, Varsha, I lost you a bit.
Uh, I didn't understood about the memory part, edit configuration.
See, that is how much capacity or how much that memory is. You can say it's a RAM where your lambda function is executing. Okay, and that you need, like when a code runs, it generates some data. To store that data, you need a ephemeral memory, and to run your code also you need some memory. And if you are trying, and that 120 MB is fine, because Lambda functions are not supposed to do heavy lifting of your data. They're just supposed to automate such kind of things like backing up the files, or triggering the jobs, or doing some automations, triggering, or those kind of things you are supposed to achieve with Lambda function. That is why 120 MB of RAM is sufficient enough. If you need more than that, you can increase that. If you feel your Lambda function is running a bit slower, you can increase that memory and it will run faster. But obviously, at the same time, it's going to charge you much.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So yes, if you have any more questions, because like we will go slow, but if you have any questions, you can ask me.
Just one question, like trying to understand. Lambda function is a serverless where it works on serverless architecture, but still we are providing the RAM and other things.
Okay, but you are not managing a server. Managing a server means, let's say if you go on Redshift and if you launch the Redshift, even though if you are using it or not using it, you are getting charged per second. This is here. If you create this backup to S3 Lambda and if you never run it, you're not getting charged for that. So see, guys, it's essentially sorry. So see, guys, it is not only important to understand the technology on the cloud. It is also necessary to understand the cost on the cloud. You cannot create a solution which is taking 10 times more cost than other solutions. So understand this thing. If I wanted to run these Python codes online, I could have launched a EC2 machine, installed a Python there, and run those things. Okay. And second option I have that I could run the same Python codes on Lambda functions. Now, as per your uses, it is the project choice, like which one is cheaper for you. For example, if you are running only 10, 100 Lambda functions, maybe very less frequency of time. Let's say you are running those 100 functions 10 times a day, thousands invocation you are doing a day. It is well within the limits. You can stay on the server architecture also. But if you are running functions way too many times, okay, I have a reading a block of Amazon Prime. If I just get that for you. I'm not sure if I will get it here or not. Yeah, you can see here Prime Video switched from serverless to EC2. And save cost. And they are claiming it's a 90% reduction in their operational cost as a result. They went from serverless to server service. Why? Because serverless service is a expensive one. So understand it like this. If you are driving a car that is a manual car, it might take like if it's a manual car, it might give you a better mileage, but only in the case if you are a good driver. Okay, if you are a new driver, obviously you will look to get the automatic one, that to the DCTs or AMTs at least. Now, what is the difference here? If you are looking to drive a car for, let's say, 300, 400, 500 kilometers every day, you are a professional cab driver, or you are a kind of a very huge travel friendly guy, you will always love driving a manual car. You will have more control over that. But if you're a newbie, or if you're looking to drive a car on cities, or that too for 10, 20 kilometers per day basis, obviously you will save by having, or you will be like much more enjoying the automated cars. So that's what happening here. Serverless is a automated thing for you. You don't have to manage quite a lot of things. Some things, yes, but no. You can say 80 to 90% of things we don't have to manage here. But some things, yes. But this comes up with a charge. Lambda functions are not a cheap service. If you run many functions on daily basis, it is better idea to move from serverless to a server service like EC2 or ECS, where you have purchased a server. Now you can use it. Now you can use it as per your choices. So again, understand it like this. You are traveling to a city. You are going there for 4 or 5 days. Your use case is less. You will be saving and enjoying your time in hotel rooms. Okay. You will be saving some cost. You don't have to go in the hassle of getting a rent agreement, or a deposit, or brokerage, or visiting or things, or even if some things are not so good, you will be still be enjoying those things because you are going there for 4 or 5 days. But if you are renting something from months or years, you will be okay to go for the hassles of doing the registration, providing ID cards, getting police check done, providing brokerages, giving deposits, shifting your luggage. You'll be okay, but after 1 month you will start saving. So that's what happened here. They moved away from hotel rooms to their own rented place, and now they are saving 90% of their cost. Understand this thing. Not the it's not only about the programming and technology, it's also about the cost. Am I clear now? Difference between serverless service and server service.
Jalaz, could you please once again review the script? I would like to see the source to target the details in the Lambda script.
This one?
Mm-hmm. Can you go to the Lambda console so that I want to see there itself?
Here I just have the code. And I am just showing the result of this line only, not those lines. Like this we will see tomorrow. I was just showing the this line.
Yeah, so here where we are giving the source details here.
We are not giving. This came from when I moved the file. This came from that event. It generated an event, and this came from there only.
Okay.
Like even if I remove all these things, it's same thing.
Oh, okay. It's automatically generating the script.
Yes, this event variable now got the details from when I move this file. Like when I move this file, it has some details attached to it. Okay, so same details has been got here. Like if you see, I have printed complete event as it is to show it to you.
Okay.
Now one more thing, as I mentioned, we have to test this event by moving files only. Okay, but sometimes what happens, we are seeing a lot of errors in this and we want to run this stuff quickly. So that's where we can go and configure our event. So first time we get this event, I'll take it completely, copy it, and now if I go inside my configure test event, and I already have one here, if I open this, you can see I have some event variables here. Okay? Key 1, key 2, and all those things. So I could simply remove this and paste my thing and save it. So now my event, if I click on test, it will get the same dictionary or JSON format here in this event. If I click this test, it's going to run absolutely fine. You can see it's absolutely fine. It has executed. I won't see event details here. I will see it on CloudWatch logs. So if I just go on the CloudWatch logs, if you see 2157, I have run this. If I open this, you will see my event details up and here. It's again same thing. So now you should understand the event configuration. I am receiving this. This is an input for me to run my program. This is an input for me. Okay. From this input, if you see in the code, from this event variable, if I just take it out, then it'd be easy for highlight that. Maybe new one, paste, language, Python. Okay, if I just show it to you, if I double click on event, you can see I have utilized it many places.
Right.
Okay, this is my input, and I have utilized my input to do quite a few things here.
Okay.
So if you wanted to code, like it could be input anything, like you have a dictionary and you are writing some programs. If I say very easy example, if you have ever worked with C or Java, there are some functions which take inputs from the users. So those inputs we can pass using this test event. Here we call it events.
Okay.
So what I will do, I am just going to share this code with you guys. Try to understand it. Anyhow, we are going to cover this in the Monday's class line by line. But if you can get it from yourself, that will be a much better thing, obviously.
Okay. Thanks. Yeah.
This is two versions of this. One is hard coded. I am passing my bucket names hard coded. As you can see, files without trigger, and then I have file with trigger option. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
And you have to basic lambda function, and you will need S3 full access. Remember this thing. If you get access denied errors, it's something issue in the IAM role. Okay, so I'll just stop the recording. Or if you have any questions, I'll just wait. I'm open for questions still. I'm trusting you, or I am just assuming that you guys are, if you're not asking questions, you are at getting it. Use cases of Lambda, what is Lambda functions, and how to write Lambda functions. Maybe you can't code, that I understand, or that will take some time, but at least understanding that how to code.
Yeah, Jalaj, I couldn't comprehend many things, but I will go through the recordings and come back on Monday.
Sure, Nikhil, please.
One more
And
thing I
don't
wanted
get,
to ask you.
yes, please.
See, this Lambda function, since you are aware of Azure data engineering, what is that exactly the same in Azure?
Azure functions.
Azure functions. Okay. Mhm. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, we'll meet on Monday. Thank you for time. Have a great day. Bye bye.